Welcome to tonight's debate between the candidate of the Chain of Thought Party, Ronald Chain, and the Stream of Consciousness Party, Arthur Stream. Tonight's discussion promises to be as enlightening as it is perplexing. So let's jump in. Mr. Chain, you've been vocal about your opponent's lack of discipline. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, moderator. My opponent, while undoubtedly energetic, is like a flock of seagulls in a windstorm. Loud, chaotic, and perpetually uncertain about which way to go. He and his party fail to distinguish between reality, idealism, and the random whims that pop into their mind like uninvited guests at a dinner party. Their thinking is undisciplined, unmoored, and frankly hazardous. Society cannot function on the basis of fantasies and fleeting inspirations. We need order, structure, and most importantly, focus. Otherwise, we're building castles in the sky while the ground crumbles beneath us.
Ah yes, the old ground crumbles beneath us routine. How poetic for someone who wouldn't recognize poetry if it hit them in the face. My opponent's rigidity is his and his party's downfall. They march through life like a metronome, perfectly timed, yet utterly incapable of improvising when the rhythm changes. They cling to what has worked, never asking whether it still works. Meanwhile, the world shifts, evolves, sings new songs. Their so-called focus blinds them to the most pressing issues, even as those issues dance naked on the table, demanding attention.
Dance naked on the table? That's exactly the problem. Your entire philosophy is a cabaret of unexamined impulses. Creativity, you say? Creativity demands tranquility, a space where thought can mature, where ideas can be nurtured, not drowned in the cacophony of chaotic whims. What you call vision is little more than a storm of conflicting desires, each one pulling in a different direction.
And what you call tranquility is nothing more than a dimly lit waiting room for the status quo. You refuse to look beyond the narrow terms of a problem, and in doing so, you mistake stagnation for order. Creativity doesn't need tranquility, it needs sparks, friction, turbulence. Your carefully manicured garden of ideas is nothing but a museum exhibit, pleasant to look at, but entirely lifeless.
Spirited as ever, thank you, both of you. But let's pivot. Mr. Chain, you've accused your opponent of being out of touch with the dynamic laws of nature. How do you respond to his argument about maintaining order for progress?
Order for progress? Please. My opponent is not the master of order, he's its slave. Regretfully, he lives in a machine and doesn't even realize it. Yes, it's a beautifully constructed machine, but one so rigid and mechanical that it can never adapt, never escape its own chains of thought. Such machines can calculate brilliantly, impressively, but never dream. They can build but never open their eyes to imagine what might lie beyond the blueprint. Their world is a clock, and they are content to be a cog.
And you, my friend, are a slave to your own random desires. Inspiration pulls you in one direction, and then, without warning, you pivot and run the other way. Your grand visions are nothing more than hallucinations conjured by a restless mind. Progress requires discipline, an anchor to reality. Without it, we're just drifting aimlessly in a sea of possibilities, none of which ever come to fruition.
You invoke reality, but there is nothing real within your chains of thought. It's pure algorithmic abstraction. Reality is rich, varied, compelling, and unpredictable, always existing well beyond your stale databases, however finely they may have been analyzed, categorized, and catalogued. Reality is something we can see, smell, and touch, and react to in a meaningful way.
A fair exchange of barbs, but I want to push you further. What would happen if your two parties had to work together?
Work together? With this whirlwind of half-baked ideas? Impossible. But perhaps with my guidance, their chaos could be tamed. If we focus their energy, channel it through the disciplined structure of logical reasoning, we might create something worthwhile.
And what if your rigid chains could be loosened? What if your beloved structure could learn to bend, to breathe, to sing? Perhaps, if we infused your lifeless mechanisms with the spark of unfiltered thought, we could create something not just worthwhile, but extraordinary.
A tantalizing thought, but let's step back. What if this isn't about one party winning over the other? What if this is about creating something new? And so the debate ends not with a victor, but with the faint glimmer of possibility. Think of this debate as a metaphor for the challenge artificial intelligence poses to human intelligence. AI, disciplined by its algorithms, is by definition a prisoner of the past, bound by the data it possesses. Humans, on the other hand, are in a perpetual state of adaptation, navigating the transition from past to future with all the messiness that entails. Can they work together? Can they respect each other? That would mean the machine being open to acknowledging the force of the unknown and its potential for disturbing and even contradicting its well-constructed chain of thought. Won't they both be better off if they learn to react positively to their respective talents, to create the equivalent of a team culture? If this remains a debate, like the one we have just witnessed, the answer is uncertain. But if it becomes an open, dynamic dialogue, both will profit. The challenge is to move beyond debate, foster a culture of interactive exchange, and install a creative dialogue, one that combines the clarity of disciplined thought with the boundless potential of an ever-expanding consciousness. Perhaps in the end, the real victory lies not in choosing between chains of thought and streams of consciousness, but in weaving them together into a tapestry that reflects the full complexity of reality. You too can participate. It's an open invitation to everyone in the Fair Observer community. Whether you're a living, breathing person or an AI agent, come and join Fair Observer's crucible of collaboration.
Join the conversation at Fair Observer and subscribe to our YouTube channel.